In this video, you'll become familiar with a few of the properties of the text input component that can extend the functionality text input boxes in React Native. Earlier in the course, you created a basic feedback form for the Little Lemon app containing boxes for users to enter text. The next step is to explore the features of the text input component and learn how to pass properties to it. First, let's talk about the placeholder prop. The placeholder prop is used to fill the text box with placeholder text while it awaits input. The placeholder text can also help the user understand what the text box is for. For example, in the text box where the user should type their first name, I use the words first name as the placeholder text. Then, I use last name as the placeholder for the last name text box. And I use the instruction please leave feedback as the placeholder text for the feedback text box. Now let's examine the emulator. The first name placeholder is in the first box. The last name placeholder is in the second box. And the please leave feedback placeholder is in the third box. Once I start typing in this text box, you'll notice the placeholder text is replaced by what I'm typing. Another useful prop is the multi-line prop. So, when do you use it? If you don't think that the space you provided in the feedback text box is enough, then you can say multi-line equals true. Using this prop enables multiple lines in the text box that would otherwise not be allowed within text input. Let's bring up the emulator to examine how it works. I type a really long message until I reach the multi-line. And there you go. The multi-line message is displayed in the text input box. If I hadn't set this multi-line prop to true, then the message would have been cut off after the first line. So, if you have a form that requires a lot of characters in some input boxes, then you can set the multi-line prop to true to allow for multiple lines. If you want to restrict the number of characters entered in the text box, then you can use another prop named max length prop. With this prop, I can set the maximum number of characters. And using this prop instead of implementing the logic in JavaScript is great because you can avoid any kind of flicker. Let's say 250 characters is the maximum number of characters the user can enter into the feedback text box. Now, let's move on to the next prop. If you were designing a login page, it would have to have a password field. For fields like that, you can use the secureTextEntry prop to obscure sensitive text like passwords. The default value is false. But if you want to, you can hide this information by using this prop, right? Let's apply this to the first name text box just for demonstration purposes. If I say secureTextEntry equals true, you'll notice that what I'm typing is not visible. And that's how a password field works. For now, I'm going to remove this property because I don't actually want to hide the user's first name. TextInput also supports a prop to add a keyboard type. By default, I've used the regular keyboard type thus far, but what if you want to use numbers as input? I'm going to add a text input for a phone number. I also make sure to add the state for the phone number keyboard type. Because I want to input a phone number, I add PhonePad, which is a keyboard type that works in both iOS and Android. Let's examine the emulator to determine how it displays on iOS. You can note the additional phone number text box I just added. And by clicking on it, I open the PhonePad so that I can enter numbers instead of letters. This is the native iOS PhonePad. If you were to switch to the other text boxes, you'll see that the keyboard immediately changes. So for first and last name, you have the standard keyboard. And for the phone number, you have the PhonePad. Now let's examine the Android display. This is the native PhonePad for Android devices. You can type in any number you want. Very convenient. Keep in mind that all of these are native components, which is why React Native is such a good choice, because you don't have to work in the native code. Instead, you directly use these native components that come with the React Native package. The properties I demonstrated in this video are not the only ones you can use. There are plenty of other props that you can pass to text input, like autofocus, autocorrect, and autocompletion. It all depends on what you need. So there you have it. You've become familiar with a few ways you can customize your feedback form in the Little Lemon app to create a more refined experience. In this video, you learned how to use the following properties: placeholder, multiline, max length, secure text entry, and keyboard type. Which properties you choose to use depends on your use case, and you can turn them on or off based on what your use case is.